And it's 7 o'clock. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. And thank you, clubs and advisors. You're almost all out here, but thank you. Let's give them a round of applause out here in the hallway. We have a lot of students who get a lot of joy and a lot of education out of the clubs and the activities that we offer here at Brookings High School, so we think it's important enough to bring them here so you can get a feel for how excited some of these kids are about what they're doing here at high school. And these kids, these students, will be you, 8th graders, in a year or two. Believe it or not, that's maybe where many of you will be, is out here trying to get new 8th graders excited about what's happening here at Brookings High School. And we think that's one of the reasons that we do well as a school, is because activity participation is highly correlated with success after graduation. We think it's important that we are involved. So that's why we have that first, and combined with this event, and so we appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable, and we want to work quickly to give you all the information we can without overwhelming you, because it's easy to overwhelm. There's a lot going on. I was there last year, and I've been there one other time, bringing students into the high school. So again, thank you very much for coming. I am Paul Von Fisher, the principal at Brookings High School, and this is my 12th year, my dozenth year as principal, and it is a great place to be, and it's a place I would highly recommend having your students go to school. My kiddos are here, and I hope, and I know, and I hope that your children will have a great experience here as well. A lot of opportunities. Mr. Mark, what's up with the thing here? All right, work in progress. Keep working on it, Mr. Mark. Thank you. I think I'm supposed to say other things. So welcome to Brookings High School. We are excited for you to come to Brookings High School. As it says, you can see either screen. They're both kind of the same things. The best way to predict your future is to create it, and that is what we're starting to do. One of the things that we don't want to do is be overwhelming. One of the things that we do have to do is give you a lot of information. So absorb as much as you can, ask questions. We will be around for a little while afterwards, and try that side. Oh, Phil's here. Phil will take care of it. Thanks, Phil. We're good now. Okay, next slide. Kind of small, actually really small. One of the things that we're going to do is send this PowerPoint out to all of you, right? Because I don't know a list of things to do. So this PowerPoint that you see, very tiny on the screen, I tried to make it a little bigger today, and we'll help you see that. You'll get an email with it. You can view it or not at your leisure. So there's some pictures up there of some of us people. That's me, Von Fisher. We've got Dr. Shelley Jensen right over here. She's waving at you. Mr. Soma, our Director of Activities, is at the school board meeting tonight because of our reschedulement, our necessary reschedule of this event. Oh, that's so much nicer. Hi, guys. How you doing? We have in the main office a couple other introductions. We have Mrs. Olvestead, that's Deb. She gets it all done. Mrs. Livingston is there. She will be working with you on attendance. And then Tammy Bullington is in our activities office. So that's that main office on the west side. If you haven't been there yet, tonight is also an opportunity for you to do a couple laps around the school if you want. We're open until 9. Even later if you want to stick around, but not that much later. Other introductions, important introductions that we will have today. So there's Mrs. Struck. Yeah, she's the spec in the bottom right corner. That's Ginny, and she is in the activities, or in the counseling office. And she will be there to greet you, answer phones, direct traffic if you have any questions for her or our counselors. And then we'll have some people here that I'd like to introduce, and we'll start with Miss Amanda Neville Coble. Sit down, Mr. Marsh. Yep, and she's going to, so they'll all be talking here in a little bit. We have Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Linda Johnson, who's another counselor. They'll do some introductions. We have we have Mrs. Park, the high school administrator, school counselor. She's here part-time basis for us, so we have 3.5 counselors. And there's Mr. Mork, who is in charge of basketball hoops at Brookings High School. So this is our school counseling team, and they'll be talking to you in a little bit. School counselors are here to see you in the classroom, individually, for personal, emotional, and social and academic needs. There are times when your counselor will require you to come and talk to them. There are times when you can go and see your counselor. So it's academic, career, emotional, personal needs, and social needs at Brookings High School. Big ticket items in our counseling office. Thank you for being here tonight and for presenting this evening. I have to turn the page. So a lot of things going on, lots of things to do. This building, as you will see as your students come through, whenever you come on an evening for any event, you're not the only event. This building never sleeps. There's always a lot going on. It's a great time to explore. We would urge students at a younger age to involve themselves in a lot of different things. As they get older, they might find, yeah, I love this not so much. And then they hone in on some of the things that they really enjoy and really want to spend their time doing, as these activities and other things they might do help them prepare for life after high school and after what's after high school, which we all need to. What are we going to do with ourselves? And so those things, these activities that kids take on, the students take on, can help them figure out what they want to do. One more hand. Okay, more of the same. Join clubs. I'm pushing that kind of hard, aren't I? Sorry for the hard sell. We just think it really is important. One of the regrets that I hear, that I talk about with students, is I wish I had gotten involved earlier, or wish I had been more step out of my comfort zone, try something. That's what we hear from seniors. If I could go back to my freshman self and give advice, that's it often. And so we want to avoid those regrets and say, just give it a shot, just try it. Worst thing that can happen, you say, not for me. And that happens. So, as we were preparing for tonight's event, this is something we've been doing for many years, bringing people in, doing the activity fair, talking about registration and four-year plans. We are on the cusp of some changes to graduation requirements. The state of South Dakota has given really unprecedented flexibility in what constitutes graduation and what it looks like and what offerings are out there for us. Some of the problem with that is we don't have some of the classes yet that would qualify for graduation in some areas. And so we're working on that. So you, as incoming freshmen for next year, will probably get another, and parents as well, will get another dose of what it's like to be a BHS student and a BHS grad next year. Because we're working on some things right now, a task force that's investigating what the graduation requirements would look like here. We're investigating things like pathways for education, pathways to careers, because regardless of what you do after you leave this high school, whether it would be the workforce, or military, or a 2-year or a 4-year school, everything leads to a career. And so what are we doing in our school to help students not have the average of 6 major changes and life, what do I want to do with my life? Those questions, what kind of experiences can we give our students, your children, you, that would help you decide what you want to do when you leave this place, or whatever's going to be in your end result. Because work takes up a lot of our time, doesn't it? Parents, adults in the room. And so we want it to be something that you're really suited for, something you enjoy. So school counselors have been working with students at middle school. Are you next? Okay. Am I done yet? Yes. They've been working with students at middle school and to plan through some of the academic portions of your children's graduation requirements. And so, like I said, there are some changes coming. They're not here yet. What we're setting up for now, this 4-year plan they have, well, it always is flexible. It might be a little more flexible than usual for you coming in, looking at what next year might have to offer. So we'll do our best to communicate what the future looks like at Brookings High School. So thanks for being here tonight.
school counselors here at Brookings High School. So I am going to try to walk you guys through some of the high school graduation requirements. So before we start with this, one of the questions that some of the parents and students have been asking is, when is that academic career plan draft due that we've been working on? And I know there's a little bit of anxiety from some of our students because they're nervous about high school, and that's okay, right? And some of our kids worked really, really hard. We met with those 8th grade students today and reviewed their freshman years, and you guys should be really proud of your kids because a lot of them had 4 years done, which is a huge accomplishment. So congrats to you students, that was really well done. But all we really wanted you to do was get that first year of high school worked out, right? And sometimes it does take a little bit of looking at all 4 years because we want to make sure we can get some of those things that we really want to have in there. And so looking at 4 years does help us to make sure that we can get all of those things that are really important to us fitting into the 4-year plan, right? So that is a good idea, a very, very good idea. But in order to create a little less anxiety as we prepare to go into high school, really the goal for us is to help students create that first year plan of their freshman year. So that is due March 1st. And on March 1st, we will again, the high school counselors and the middle school counselors will work together at the middle school with your students to put that plan into the computer, which Mrs. Johnson will talk a little bit about. So March 1st is the due date for that plan. So if everybody can remember March 1st. If you have questions before then, you can ask your middle school counselors, ask the high school counselors if we're around at the middle school. But that's really the deadline, March 1st. That's the date we want you to remember, okay? So when we're talking about classes, the first thing that we talk about with our 8th grade students is what English class are you going to select? And it is a big decision, so we want to help them to make the best choice for them. And a lot of times, students are going to say, well, what are my friends doing, right? We want to think about, oh, where are they going to be, and are we going to be in class together? But that's really not the most important thing, right? We have to do what's truly best for you, okay? So when we're thinking about classes, we want to think about, what's my work ethic as a student? What are my grades right now in my English class? I have a conversation with my folks at home or, a parent, a guardian, someone that's important to me can help me make that decision. It is truly important to have a conversation with your teacher at school so they can make a recommendation for you. And they might say, you know what, if you would have worked just a little bit harder this year, I could have seen you doing this, or, I think that maybe this course would have been a better fit for you. And so you need to take into consideration multiple things so that you can select the appropriate class, whether it's English, math, or science. And so we really encourage students to think about all of those things, no matter what the class is, okay? So think about what's best for me, what's my work ethic, what kind of grades am I getting this year, talk to my parents about it, get my recommendation from my teacher, and think of all those things together and then make the best decision for me as a student, okay? Not what my friends are doing, right? So when we look at English, all freshman students will be taking 1 year or 1 credit of English classes. So my first year as a freshman student is either going to be Language Arts 1, English 1, or Honors English 1, okay? And most of our students already know what that is. If you have any questions about that, I would encourage you to talk to either your English teacher as an 8th grade student or maybe talk to your school counselor. But I think everybody did a really good job. And then as you move forward, we revisit this plan every single year during the registration process. So if I select Language Arts 1 as a freshman, that doesn't mean that I have to do Language Arts every year. Maybe my English skills greatly improve and then I move to a different English the next year. Or maybe I do continue with Language Arts every year. Okay? So then, when we move on to mathematics, same kind of thing. We're going to consider all those factors again. Most students would start in Algebra 1A, and we have a lot of questions about what does that A mean? Whenever there's an A behind a class, that stands for applied. And applied at the high school generally means that the class is the same content. So Algebra 1A and Algebra are the exact same content, but the class moves at a little slower pace. So it's designed for students who might struggle just a little bit with their math, with their algebra. It's usually a little bit smaller sized classroom, so that teacher might be able to provide a little bit more support to students who might struggle in algebra. So if you're a student who maybe has a more difficult time in algebra, maybe Algebra 1A would be a better fit for you. So A is applied. So these are the two most common choices for students, but these might not be the classes that were recommended for you. Based on where you're at middle school, your teacher might have made a different recommendation for you, but these are the most common, okay? And then with science, we have these 3 courses, and again, there are 3 different levels. That doesn't mean that you'll always be at that same level. So maybe I would start in regular biology my first year. That is the most common level, we'll call it, that we see freshmen start at. But maybe my second year, I choose to be in honors, and that's the recommendation my teacher made for me, and I want to challenge myself more, and I felt like, oh, you know, I can apply myself more, and I really want to, you know, just kind of throw myself into science, and so I choose an honors class the following year. So we have a lot of different levels, and we just really want to make sure that every student is choosing what is most appropriate for them. So that's what we've been working on with our 8th grade students, is trying to select each level that's most appropriate for every student, kind of based on what I talked about at the very beginning, considering all of those factors. And we require 3 credits of science for all students. So that's their first year. And social studies is very easy. So for social studies, I don't want to knock that into this course, but it's easy to decide what students will do, because during the first year, freshman year, all students are required to take world history, and world history is for a semester. So that doesn't mean it will be first semester or second semester. It's one or the other. It just depends on where it falls on the student's schedule, and there's no way to know where that will be. It's just wherever it ends up fitting, but it's for half a credit, and it will be either one or the other semester. And the students will end up taking 3 years of social studies credits by the time that they're done at Brookings High School. So those are all of the required courses that a freshman student will take during their first year here at BHS. Okay.
Thanks, Amanda. My name is Ashley Park, and I'm another one of the school counselors here at the high school, and I just want to say thank you for sharing your students with us as we prepare for high school. It's been an awesome experience. But we're going to move forward now. The classes that Amanda went over are the classes that everyone is going to be taking, those core classes that we're going to make sure fits into every schedule. After that, we have some options that our students get to choose from based off of their personal interests, but also classes that are going to help meet their graduation requirements. So every student that does graduate from the Brookings High School does have to take 1 full credit of fine arts. And you'll see that on the board. This 1 credit can be taken at any time before you graduate, and it can come from a lot of different classes. A question that I received a lot today is a student is wondering if they can take band and orchestra and choir, and can they get additional credits for them? Yes, you can take more than 1 credit, and it's just going to help you reach your graduation goals. So it's okay if you take more than 1 in this area. The other thing is, as a freshman, some of our students are not in performing music, and that is okay. If you've never been a part of band, if you don't want to start now, we have other options. And most of those options start with Art 1. So Art 1 is a half-credit class that you can request as a freshman. There's no guarantee as a freshman you get in, but it's definitely something you can request. And you do need to take Art 1 before you move forward in our art classes, such as photography, or drawing and painting, or ceramics and sculpture. There's so many other great options there after you take Art 1. As a freshman, say you don't get into Art 1. Is it the end of the world? Maybe for that day, but it's totally okay. You have plenty of time to get in that one full credit before you graduate. So many of our freshmen are not even taking this, and that is completely fine. The other options you see there are the Art of Drama and Music Appreciation. It also reminds me of another question. We've had some students ask today if they've never been in choir if they could try it out as a freshman, and you certainly can do that too. So high school is a good time to try a new course area that maybe you're not familiar with. The second area that everyone has to take, again, by the time you graduate, so it might not fit in your freshman year, is computer studies, and that would be a half credit. As a freshman, the only class you can take is computer applications. If this, again, does not fit into your schedule, that's okay, but we do have other options. As a sophomore, junior, senior, we have, for example, web design or computer programming. There's other classes that will meet this requirement. Health, wellness, and wellness activity, again, is another required area, and we typically see a lot of freshmen try and fit this in their schedule right away, because you have to take this at some time, and usually as a freshman, they're great classes to get into, because you can meet a lot of people this way, you can get involved, and they're really enjoyable classes. The health wellness is a half credit, and that is more of your classroom type health education class, and you can take that right away as a freshman. And the wellness activity is more of our physical education type classes. The class that I walk by every day and I think, I wish I could join. They're doing dance lessons and adult education courses. They're out on our Project Adventure class. They're doing scuba diving. I mean, the options they have are just amazing. And so it's a great class. One thing to think about too with that health wellness is that you have to take one full credit, but that can be split up into different semesters or obviously different years. So as a freshman, if you want to take half of it, and a senior, you take the other half, that's completely fine. So I know we have a lot of options, but the one thing I can tell you for sure about your schedule is that the finance requirement, which would be on campus here, or the economics class, is something that you will not take until you're a junior or senior. So everyone will take it at some point, but you won't plan for that at this time until you work your way through high school. And then our CTE, which stands for Career and Technical Education and World Language classes. Everyone is required, again, to take one credit in this area within the 4 years, but there's so many options that I think you're probably going to take more than one credit. I was super impressed today with some of our students and faculty that were present today. Some of the work that they were displaying was not even part of an activity, but part of an actual class that they take here at VHS. And it's just awesome to see that they're actually learning real life skills, whether it's the cabinetry making, learning how to cook. They have a coffee bar right here at the high school, building the house that you might have seen before in our parking lot. It's just outstanding, the program and the work that comes out of this area. And so I encourage your students to take these classes regardless of their career path. They're learning some great life skills. The other two world languages that do count in this area are Spanish and German. And so that is something that your student can start taking right away as a freshman. For the Brookings High School graduation requirements, we do not require a student to take a world language, but we definitely encourage it because some scholarships or some out-of-state schools do look for students that have taken 2 years of a foreign language. So it's always a good thing to consider if it fits in now or later into your schedule. And so elective courses, right here you can see that we require 4.5 credits to build up in electives. And so for a student to graduate from the Brookings High School, they do need 22 credits completed. A good question that I had today from so many students is, for example, when you think back at choir, if a student takes choir for 4 years, only one of those years is required for fine arts, but those additional 3 credits are counting towards these electives. So electives can basically come from anything, and it's just above and beyond what you took of the required classes. So we don't have to get too stressed about it at this time. More than likely, it will just naturally be built into your schedule. Awesome. Ready for it, Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Ashley. And so moving right along, study halls. Obviously, no credit is earned through a study hall, but it is very important. I think a lot of freshmen benefit from taking a study hall, either one semester or both. You know, if they know that they're in a sport that's going to be very busy in the fall, maybe just have a study hall in the fall, and then when their schedule lightens up after school, then in the second semester they might not need a study hall. But you can take it one study hall per semester, and you can take it for one or both. And then seniors, you have the choice, of having your free period. So, and if you have one study hall per semester all year long for all 4 years, you'd still earn 6 credits as long as you were passing all your classes. You'd earn 6 credits, and so 6 times 4 is 24, and all you need is 22, bare minimum, to graduate. And so there is plenty of room to have a study hall every semester. And it's important to remember that if you're not successful in a required course the first time, that you must take it again. You know, in 6th grade, you just went right into 7th grade. 7th grade, you go into 8th grade. But when you get to the high school, you've got to pass those required courses in order to get that final diploma. Valuable resources here at the high school. And there are many, many valuable resources to help you in making your decisions concerning your future. And it's your future, so own it. Review the course description book using the information that you've received. Look at the prerequisites and other requirements that you need to take the classes. And if you're not sure about what a course is about, review the description to find out what it is and if it's a good fit for you or not. And this information can also be found on the BHS website. And I really do, encourage you to read that, but also talk to your friends and recognize that we have so many electives here and so many courses that could really fit into possibly your future, or finding out that you really don't want to do that, and that's just as important. But also remember that it's your education, because if you ask my son about a certain course here, he would have said he loved it so much he wanted to take it a second time. So I encouraged my youngest daughter to take that class, thinking the same thing. She couldn't wait to get out of it. And the same thing can be said. There's a class that she just took as a junior this semester, and if you were to talk to her about that as an 8th grader, she would never have considered it. And yet it's been her favorite class at the high school. She's become a hands-on learner. She just loves it. It's a CTE class. And I really think that it's going to be helpful for her future. So, take into consideration, like I said, it's your education, but there's lots of ways to find out about all these courses. South Dakota My Life is a great tool for students and parents as well. It's free, and you can search careers, you can search post-high options, what are out there, what are the options out there for after high school. You can search the institutions, you can utilize their resume writing tools, and lots of other things at this SD My Life. And all students can log on using their K-12 username and password. And so then parents, you're also available to get onto the SD My Life site and go through doing other things as a parent might that the student might not. But be aware of that website and utilize it. We also, as a counseling team, we have a newsletter, and that comes out once a month. And that is another great resource, and it's released, like I said, once a month, but we also inform you, we let you know that it is now out there, a new version is out there. You'll get an email, both the student will at their K-12 email address, as well as any email that we have on file in the computer for the parents. So both parents will get the same reminder that the new newsletter is out there. BHS Counseling and Student Services website offers a number of resources, and again, we continually update that, whether it's scholarships or just information about what kids are getting involved in, and some of the negatives and positives, and we're always updating our website. And then always be watching for more information from our office and listen to the announcements. The daily announcements that we put on are vital for the students. We keep them informed and up to date, and so they need to be in school and listening to all the daily announcements to catch up on whether it's testing information or other things that we have coming out of our office. All right, advanced placement and dual credit courses. I don't want to say too much about this right now because it's not available to you until, well, there's probably one advanced placement course that you probably could take as a sophomore, but most of them are available as your junior and senior year. And advanced placement just stands for, it's a very taxing course. They're typically much harder because they are college level, and if you score high enough on the national test, you can get college credit for it. But you'll hear more information as we go through registration each year, and so be aware that those are options. And then the dual credit courses, that's kind of exploded in the last few years. You can take courses from all of our state institutions and tech schools, and for a very reduced cost, but there are some restrictions on it. You must, as a junior, there's 3 ways to be able to be eligible, but the first one is a 3.5 GPA. If you don't meet that, there's another way to get in, and if you don't meet that, there's a third way. But really, that speaks volumes to taking your freshman year seriously, taking off and hitting the ground running, and make sure that your GPA stays where it is. Because, take it from experience, when you start really low, you can keep getting better and better every semester, but it still doesn't go as fast up as it went down. So, but like I said, you'll hear more about the dual credit. That's not available at all until your junior year, and then the summer between, and then your senior year. So, but be aware that there is some college courses out there that you could get ahead on and save some money. And almost by the time you graduate, you could almost have a semester probably done of college credits. The 8th grade registration process, you've already seen, we were over there once on the 28th, and we talked about all this information to them in the classroom. And then today we went back and we visited with them looking at their plan. And then tonight's event, and then the first, you've already heard, we're going to do the computer registration where we're going to be over there and we're going to take the classes and put them into the computer, and then they will be registered for their freshman year. And then May 10th, we started this a year or 2 ago, and it's a great event. We bring them over. If it's nice enough, I think they walk, but I think they were bused last year. They come over just in time for lunch. All of our high schoolers are done with lunch at 12:30, and so we bring the 8th graders in. We feed them lunch just like they're a high school freshman. Show them what it's like, because it is different than the middle school. And then we also then take them on tours, and they're student guided, and we talk about the school and different places within the school so that they kind of get orientated to the school, and then they're done at 2:30 and go back to the middle school. But it's a great event, and we really look forward to it, and I think the kids get a lot out of it as well. Miss Johnson's up next.
All right, good evening. I'm gonna actually face this way, but just maybe to wake you guys up a little bit. I'm Linda Johnson, like Mr. Moore said, and I just want to reiterate that we had a great day, like they've all said, with your students. What a pleasure it has been to work with them. They're a great group, and we're just really excited to have them at the high school. So just wanted to mention that. So I'm seeing some eyes glaze over, and trust me, we're almost done, but I'm just wondering if you're listening. And I know that I've quizzed the 8th graders on this a little bit, but first of all, how many periods are there in a day at Brookings High School? 7, very good. And if I took a class all year long, like they were talking about, if I took my English all year long, how many credits would I get for that? 1 period class all year long? 1, right? Okay, so if I took 7 classes, and I didn't take a study hall, kind of like Mr. Mark was talking about earlier, how many credits would I get? It's a little bit of math. Anybody? 7, thank you. So it is very, and then Mr. Mark also brought up how many credits do you need to graduate? 22. So if you do the math with all of that, if you take a study hall every year and you pass all your classes, you're still going to have 24. So we'll be good. So those are some of the things we've been working on with your students, and hopefully, and I know not all of you have, I met with some students today that had kind of a panic that they hadn't had a chance to talk with you about this plan that you see up on the screen, and that's totally fine, but it isn't fine if they come March 1st and haven't visited with you about it yet at that time. So this is the document we've been working with. Last Tuesday, we worked as a group walking through all of those graduation requirements that Mrs. Coble talked to you about, and we kind of helped them put some of those things in. Today, we sat down individually with them and looked through and said, okay, do I have 7 credits? If I'm not taking a study hall, can I add up? There's a column for every year, and on the very first column is all of those requirements that I have to have. And so it's a really nice way to kind of audit your classes every year. Every year our students go through and re-look at this and change things around. The one thing that I told students right away last week is if you walk out of the classroom that we're in with you and you feel more stressed, then we have not done a very good job. We do not want anybody losing sleep over this document, stressing out, feeling like I'm not going to be able to accomplish my goals because I don't have everything perfect. It's a living, breathing document that will change. The biggest thing we want to focus on this year for sure is that 9th grade year, because on March 1st we will be actually registering for those classes. But the other one is, the rest of it is a plan. And it is important to plan, and sometimes plans change, and that's okay. So we don't want anybody to leave feeling really stressed about that. Okay, whoops, I went the wrong way. At the very bottom of this document, there is a slot for 4 alternate courses, and sometimes students just kind of glance over that and don't really pay much attention, but it is important, and so we wanted to mention it to you as parents, that sometimes once we make the schedule in the summer, and Dr. Jensen will talk to you about that in a second, it's possible that your child might not get their first choice classes. It's not real common as a freshman because a lot of those classes are required, but let's say the art is full like that was mentioned. You do need to select 4 alternate courses that you would be okay with getting put into your schedule. And it is important to take some time to do that. Sometimes we'll have students come back in the fall and say, oh, I didn't really want that class, but I just put it there. You don't want to do that because you will actually possibly have that class put in your schedule. So you do want to take time to consider alternate courses if something perhaps doesn't work into your schedule. Okay, so how does the scheduling process work? It is a computerized program. We will collect the document that we showed you, that plan, and they will have a copy of it in their book. They've kind of done their hard copy, and then they'll transfer a good copy. And we would ask that you sign that because, as we've all mentioned, it is important that parents have a conversation and have a say in your thoughts on what might be good courses for your students. So we would ask that you sign that. And then they will bring that with them on March 4th. We will sit down at the computer. There's some step-by-step instructions. It's actually pretty easy. It's a drop-down menu. If I go to English, it's going to drop down those choices, and I just get to click on which one is the one that I plan to take. So it's a pretty simple process. They'll have a set of about 5 instructions that we'll go through, but we'll be there and we'll walk them through that. So again, just making sure that you're ready to go for sure the freshman year on that date. And these are all things we've kind of discussed, getting recommendations for teachers. And just a reminder that you are making requests, and you may not receive all of your requests. So that's where all of those alternate courses are important. And the other thing is, though, that you will get those required classes that you need to have. All right, thanks.
I'm last. So we just have a few more slides and then we'll let you go. Okay, I can go without this. So we're going to talk about the scheduling process real quick, just the end of it. So students, you will register on time with your classmates, like we've already talked about, so that's the first thing you do. Then once registration is closed, then what happens is Dr. Von Fisher determines how many sections are needed by the number of students that register for those classes. So all of those, we like to make that decision April, May at the latest. And then some of the classes that you may register for, probably not as freshmen, but maybe sophomores, juniors, or seniors, that they may not make the list. And so it could be because usually we like to have at least 10 students in a class. So if we don't have that number of students that register for that class, then that class won't make the list. So that then we would go to your alternates, and so that's why we need you to have those alternates in there. So then as soon as it's determined how many sections we have and the number of teachers that we need, then I write the schedule. And it's all in a scheduling program. So I think sometimes students think that I go into individual students and schedule them. I don't do that. So I really schedule all of the classes and the teachers, and then the students are uploaded into the classes. So once the schedules are loaded into the course schedule, then we determine if there's conflicts. And so what causes the conflict? Let's just say, for instance, you're taking a class, but you're going to take band, and the one class is offered only one time, and it's during the band time. So then that creates a conflict for your schedule. Then we look at your alternate list, and we'll put one of those classes into your schedule. If you don't have an alternate list, then one of us will probably pick a class for you, and you might not like that one. So make sure you do your alternate list. It is very important. And then what will happen is the conflict schedules are worked out in July and August. And then in mid-August, usually we have our registration day. So you'll come in and you'll get your lanyards and you'll get your pictures taken, and then you'll pick up your class schedules at that time. So there are questions about, and I'm sure it's not usually freshmen that do it, but it's usually upperclassmen that do it. They think that once they do the registration, that if they don't like their schedule and they pick it up in August, that we will change their schedule for them to the class that they want. That isn't what is going to happen. So make sure that you do take the time to register for the classes that you want right now, because when you get your schedule, that schedule is going to change, or it isn't going to change. The only way it will change is if there were computer errors, if we need to accommodate physical impairments. Let's just say, for instance, someone breaks their leg August 1st. Well, if they're in wellness, that probably isn't going to be a good class for them, so of course we'll take you out of wellness and put you in a different class. The other thing is too, you could drop a 7th class. Let's just say you're registered for 7 classes and you decide once you get your schedule, I really need to have a study hall to be successful. We will drop a 7th class and give you a study hall. So that is something that we will do. Otherwise, just remember you are making a request. Just because you made the request doesn't mean you'll get that class, because there's a lot of kids to put in the schedule. This is the last slide. So we are excited for you to be here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll stick around for a while if you have any questions. And then if you have questions before March 1st, you can email any of us and ask your questions. So thank you again for coming, and have a good night.